Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How's everybody doing? I trust everybody had a great weekend. I had a workful weekend, crazy weekend. Plus, I have till the 14th to get my taxes done. I delay because I don't have the time. So I was up till 1 this morning doing my morning show and getting all of that done. But you know what? We're going to push on and we're going to push on. Anyway, folks, how is everybody doing? I trust we're all doing fine. I know we are all contemplating the greatness of the Führer. The greatness of the Führer. What is happening? What is happening? He just created peace in the Middle East. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce everybody in a minute. But before we get started, don't buy the junk. This is all cosplay. This is all, nothing really has happened. This is to get the hostage. Look, we feel for the hostages. We feel for all of this. But my God, as I watch the entire news media on all sides hyperventilate about what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Israel, I'll be honest, I want to throw up. The most significant thing that has ever happened in the Israel-Palestine saga is what Carter did with the treaty that got Egypt and Israel together. That is the most significant thing ever done. Everything else, including some of what Clinton did with Yasser Arafat and the guy that got killed, not Begin, but you know who I mean. At that point, that was a little bit more substantive. What we have here with Donald Trump that he's passing as a big peace plan is nothing more than a ceasefire. And a ceasefire that we only got to after he gave Netanyahu and it's not only Trump that did this, Biden did this as well, gave Netanyahu the wherewithal to bomb and continue murdering, maiming, kindling, and genociding our Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza. Look, let's be clear here. I am no fan or no protector of Hamas. They are horrendous, terrible terrorists. Absolutely so. Likewise, when they killed and murdered and maimed and terrorized those 1,200 people that in general in that part of Israel are considered liberal, wanting a two-state solution and wanting to live in peace with them. And they were murdered. And remember that indirectly, Netanyahu allowed the funding of Hamas because he wanted to keep a conflict between Hamas and the Palestinian forces, the Palestinian Commission or whatever they call it. All of this is cosplay. This is all ridiculous, and that the media is snowed by this when we have really important things to discuss. So after I give this monologue about Israel, we're not talking about Israel and Gaza. We have a lot more important things to talk about. Now, I am not diminishing the deaths of our Palestinian brothers and sisters. I am not diminishing the deaths of our Israeli brothers and sisters at all. All I'm saying is what they're playing on TV as solutions and what Donald Trump is doing and has done is false. It's not only false, but it is allowing Donald Trump to use cosplay, to use playing, to use media, to use pictures, to show America something that isn't real, to show the rest of the world, and to watch how those foreign countries grovel or sat down there and praise Donald Trump as a peacemaker. These guys are intelligent. They know better. You had the Egyptian president praising Donald Trump for something he knew was wrong. We also had the Pakistani minister lying to the people in the news media that Donald Trump, he stopped 6 wars. They know better. They know that you simply placate Donald Trump and then you laugh at him when his back is turned. That's why all people, they go out and they placate him because they want a few dollars out of him. They want the tariffs dropped. They want all those things dropped. So let me just finish here. Donald Trump ended no war. Donald Trump has no intellect to do any of what he's doing. But because he's backed by the most powerful country, us, and because the rest of the world know we are dealing with a madman, a narcissist, they know that the one thing that will get them into the good grace and get some more of our money is to go out there and say, oh, Donald Trump, the peacemaker, thank you. This could not have happened without you. You did such a great job. Did what? Nothing. Okay, I'm done. I am done with that. Mike asked me to read something. I hope it's something that is not going to be groveling, because other than that, let's see. In the first phase of the ceasefire plan, Israel will remain in control of 60% of Gaza. Where's the initial withdrawal, yellow line? Before the withdrawal, Israel controlled more than 80% of Gaza, including areas under forced evacuation orders or this. Once a deal is signed, fighting would be expected to end immediately, and Israeli forces would withdraw from the marked in yellow. The area inside the yellow line represents approximately 156 kilometers, leaving about 210 kilometers, 81 square miles, or 58% of Gaza under Israeli control. This is not a peaceful withdrawal. This is a land grab under the guise of a ceasefire. As Israel has a long history of breaking ceasefires, there's no guarantee that once the exchanges are complete, the IDF won't go back to killing. Of course, they're going to go back to killing. You know how they're going to do it, Michael? They're going to actually say a missile came in from Gaza, or they'll launch a missile from Gaza. And then that would be a reason to go in. All right, Egberto, I hope you can. I can't play videos right now. I got too many of them to do, my dear brother, but I'll look at it a little later. Let's see what else we got here. Michael says, reason and now the impact. Tennessee man arrested, gets $2 million bond. Facebook. What is this? Tennessee man arrested, gets $2 million bond for posting Facebook meme. Larry Bushart posted a meme on a local Facebook page about Charlie Kirk. He now faces years in prison. Really? The meme shared was of Trump's quote, "We have to get over it," after an Iowa school shooting, with text, "This seems relevant today." Bushart did not elaborate, but the context seems clear. Why should I care about this shooting when the sitting president said I should get over this overshooting? In Tennessee, sharing a Trump meme in a local Facebook group could get you charged with a Class E felony for so-called threatening mass violence. My initial thought was, what the hell kind of violent meme did post, only to find out there was no violence in the meme at all. There was only quotes to expose hypocrisy. This is what our nation is jailing its citizen over. I didn't see that story. That to me should be big news, right? I hope it's real. Did you check for it being real? That sounds nuts. Okay. All right, let's get started. Welcome aboard, AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. Glad to have you here, my dear brother. We also have in the house, Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita, Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia, Lady Bearcat from Austin, Texas, Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have Yvette Abrahard from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Lee Grant from Montgomery County. Glad to have you here. Love you guys being here. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia. May Wood from California, Long Beach, California. We also have Bruce Pollard in here from Kingwood, Texas. Let's see what else we got here. Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Hey, my mind is getting better, guys. I don't know. I started taking those purple pills, the beet juice that is supposed to help your pressure. Maybe that's working. We also have in the house Adam W. from Western Pennsylvania. How you doing, Adam? We also have David Dennison, Margaret Rand, Mary Clatchett, Nancy, Jennifer Hunt, Natalie Logo, Median, Dale, Angie, 2 minute to call, Deborah Portland, Joanne, Rule of Laws Rule, Christine Wagon, Robin Dormick, George Corbel, Ann McFadden, Mary, Lauren Furby, Sally Pearson, Kathy Talbot, Danny Nieves, and all the rest. The first 50, I don't get to see her, so bear with me. If you want me to call out your name, just throw it back in there and I call your name out. All right. Okay. I want to get started this way. What upset me more than anything else? What upset me was an ad I saw here in Houston. And what it's trying to do is coerce our police officers that with a $50,000 bonus and or payment of their student loan to become a part of Donald Trump's thugs. Think about it. To become a part of Donald Trump's thugs, $50,000. Now, let me first tell any police officer who becomes a part of Donald Trump's thugs, meaning the ICE patrol, that tells me more about you than it tells me about Donald Trump. Remain an officer and maintain the rule of law in Texas. Becoming a thug for Donald Trump does nothing for your soul. But I want you to look at this ad because it should infuriate all of us.
Attention Houston law enforcement. You took an oath to protect and serve, to keep your family, your city safe. But in sanctuary cities, you're ordered to stand down while dangerous illegals walk free. Join ICE and help us catch the worst of the worst. Drug traffickers, gang members, predators. Join the mission to protect America with bonuses up to $50,000 and generous benefits. Apply now. Join.ice.gov and fulfill your mission.
Were those people that we saw on TV being roughed up by ICE, were they those thugs that they're talking about? No. In fact, the thugs that are doing the arrests, somehow they themselves seem to be likely scared of the thugs they're supposed to be looking for. Folks, what is your feelings when you see an ad like that? Doesn't that speak? Think about it. We cannot afford to pay off regular people's student loans. We can't afford to do it, right? So they say. We can't pay people's students' loans off. But somehow we can afford to go ahead and pay these off. Come on now. We're going to give them $50,000 to become a part of the thug army. Come on. This should infuriate people, college students, people wanting to go to college. People want to get their loans, assistance with their loans. This should be driving them crazy as we are cutting the budgets everywhere else. We are giving away $50,000 as a bonus to join the thug army. We're forgiving student loans to become a part of the thugs. It is sad. And it is something we need to do something about. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. Another subject came to hand, but before I get into that, I want to say yesterday we saw inklings of inklings of good in the mainstream media, because I saw George Stephanopoulos try to push back on the vice president as he lied and lied and lied. So I want to play this one for you. And then you guys can give me a call. Tell me what you think. Well, Vice President J.D. Vance appeared on several morning shows this morning. And the one that I really sort of appreciated was the one with George Stephanopoulos, where George Stephanopoulos visibly got upset in his questioning on just about everything, because it turns out that J.D. Vance is one of the best liars. He just simply lies much smoother than Donald Trump is able to do. But the one that got him caught was pretty much the one on Tom Holmes, the ICE director, and he was unable to answer the questions, and he just bloviated, and he tries to tell George Stephanopoulos, the reason why your show is losing viewers is because you concentrate on all this junk. Look, I'm not posting or videoing what he had to say, what the vice president had to say on all these other issues, because I won't be a promoter of the lies that he tells. But there is one in particular that I think bears mentioning. So I want you guys to watch this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong, instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
Now, note how George Stephanopoulos, even though he know that the vice president wanted to say something else, simply cut him off and said, we'll be right back, etc. The vice president wanted to imply that because Holman wasn't charged by Trump's Justice Department, that somehow he was innocent. We all know the guy is, based on the information we had, took $50,000 in a setup, and we can't get them to admit whether he kept the money, he paid taxes on the money, or whatever. And it is a scandal. Tom Homan got $50,000 in a sting operation, and we don't exactly know what has happened to it. In a government that constantly talk about corruption from the other side, etc., which really, for the most part, isn't existent as it is on the side of the Republicans. Take a look at how many Republicans have been convicted versus Democrats being convicted by any Justice Department. And that is very clear that we have one party that has more of an affinity to corruption than the other. And that is not a political statement. That is not a partisan statement. It is a statement of fact that we find these bribes more often successful on one side than the other in practice and in reality. But anyhow, that George Stephanopoulos made him look so small in dismissing the vice president of the United States and moving on to the other subject is the kind of deference we should give all of these crooks in the current administration, and beginning with the president proper. Absolutely so. And beginning with the president proper. Okay. Michael asked for that on the screen. And it's, as far as student loans are concerned and loans paid back by folks, Matt Gaetz got $476,000 in a PPP loan, never paid it back. Carol Miller, Republican of West Virginia, got $3.1 million, never paid it back. We have Roger Williams, Brett Guthrie of Texas, $1.43 million, never paid it back. We got Brett Guthrie of Kentucky, $4.3 million, never paid it back. It only matters. Remember, in our society, it only matters. And rural people in rural areas, I need you to see what's going on. All the things that Donald Trump passed that was purportedly for you was either useless to you because you didn't make enough money, or if it wasn't useless to you because you didn't make enough money, it was something that would be gone and not permanent. In other words, Donald Trump made sure that all the tax breaks that the wealthy received, that was they got it permanently. But all the things they offer to you, the rural folks around town, tax on tips, gone when Donald Trump leaves office. Overtime pay, no tax on overtime, gone when Donald Trump leaves. Then, of course, you lose your subsidies in December. In other words, when you re-sign up for your health care, your subsidies are gone. So as Marjorie Taylor is going around the entire country preaching, and I can't believe I am singing Marjorie Taylor's blessings right now. But look, like I told the audience this morning, don't feel too sweet about Taylor, because the people with the power all of the times will always be you. What I think we should why we should feel good about Marjorie Taylor is that even Marjorie Taylor had to succumb to her constituents when they started to find out that they've been had. A lot of us thinks MAGA is just there and MAGA will just be MAGA and that it is just an evil stuff. Well, I mean, a lot of people can be evil until they start starving. I mean, you have those that will starve themselves to save the Führer, but a lot of them can't. Let's see. Egberto, add to the list. The skyrocketing electric bills due to data centers. Yep. Wholesale electricity costs as much as 267% more than it did 5 years ago in areas near data centers. That's being passed on to customers. Wholesale electricity costs as much as 267% more than it did 5 years ago. Let me tell you, I went ahead and I signed a 3-year contract on. Usually I try not to go above a year and a half, 2 years contract for my electricity. I signed a 3-year contract till all this stuff fizzles out, because the thing about it is Donald Trump is such a silly man. As we build I'm not against building all these data centers at all. I am not against it. In fact, I am a huge proponent of AI. I am a huge proponent of AI. I do not fear AI in the least. I use AI. I understand AI. I do not fear AI. Most of the fear from AI comes from those people who don't understand it in its entirety. A few days ago, one of our brothers in the chat, I think it was you, Mike, who spoke about it not being certain accuracies, etc. And that's true. AI is just a tool that's getting better, albeit, but it is just a tool. But it is also a tool that can reduce the amount of work all of us are going to do if we get rid of the form of capitalism. To put it bluntly, if we get rid of capitalism and institute free enterprise with good social controls, which means Medicare for all, child care, a reduced work week of 10 hours at the same pay. Because remember, AI is not the magic of the billionaire. AI is our own knowledge. So therefore, we should not allow the billionaires to hold control of AI. We should tax the whole hell out of it and bring it right back to the people and get a 10-hour work week and have those auto-driving trucks and auto-driving cars. Let's make it better. Let's make it functional. And then now you can go to the park with your wife. You can go to the park with your better half. You can spend more time with your kids, because we have transferred much of our intelligence in a robotic form to do the things that always gets done. Love AI. But you, at the same time you love AI, you must love your country. You must love the society, to force the society to make sure and operate as it should. A 10-hour work week, and also the spoils of those efficiency should go back to us. What has been happening in America for a long time is the following. Since the 1980s, we've been getting more efficient. Robots have been doing more work. You've gotten more fancy automation machines. Go to Japan. If you think some of our machines are automated, go to Japan and see how the food service industry works in Japan. Good food out of a machine. All automated. But we have to do the right thing. Welcome aboard, LBW. Our professor is in the house. How you doing, LBW? She says, folks better get together and block this new East Texas data center. I didn't. Where is it going to be built, LBW? What part of East Texas? I hadn't looked at it, I guess. The companies need to fund their own energy infrastructure and make sure it's not gas that's going to throw a lot of carbon monoxide into the air, right? Near homes. Absolutely. MAGA is not a monolith. Billionaire donors, as well as the working class who believe they're striving, is heard and held aloft by the Trump's presidency. Jennifer, you got it. Lisa Randall says, yes, LBW, and water consumption is also a massive issue. Now, here's the thing, right? These data centers all try to cut costs. The truth of the matter is they make so much that even when it comes to water, right? They can actually make a closed system. A closed system where you only need water one time and you never have to get water again. But you see, the way they do it is they collect water for the cooling towers, etc. Put it in ponds where ponds evaporate and all that kind of stuff because it's cheaper to do that. Welcome, Anthony Lefranco from Laguna. But you don't have to do that. You can have a closed water system that does all the cooling. I'm an engineer. That's why I can tell you this. You can do a closed water system that does all the cooling, the heat transfer for you without losing any water at all. But it just happened to cost more money and it's more expensive to build. And again, define capitalism and you see what I'm saying. Carl Cox says, Egberto, I disagree with you about AI. It will cost jobs. Fake stories about people will happen. Used to help the mega rich and mega corporations control an economy and decimate the bottom 90%. Okay, let me ask you, Carl Cox, were you listening to what I said? And let me repeat this, my dear brother. It will decimate jobs if and only if we don't change the structured capitalism that we have right now. In other words, as I mentioned, AI must not be feared. In effect, what AI should do, we should stop technology. What we must do is reduce the work week, maybe to 10 hours in the long run, where people work less because you have more people that will just work 10 hours a day. That's number one. Number two, about fake stories. We have fake stories right now. I have been playing with some AI models where I can put my likeness and my voice. I've taped my likeness and voice and put it out there. In fact, if you look at my Sunday article, I write an article every Sunday and I say, you know what? I don't want to just read this article. Let me get an AI model to read the article. So an AI model read my article. Maybe I should show you guys that a little bit and then I get back to the program. Let me just show you this. Bear with me one quick second so I can tell you, we shouldn't fear it, Cox. We must not fear progress. No, we should do nothing to hold back progress. You should do nothing to hold back progress. What you need to hold back is the plutocracy, not progress, but the plutocracy. Okay, it's the plutocracy that must be held back. All right, brother, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me put that on the screen. This is an article that I sent out on Saturday. Every Saturday or so, I sent out a fairly longer article, and this is what I did.
Egberto, host of Politics Done Right and publisher of the Egberto Off the Record newsletter, wrote the following. As I was doing my morning Politics Done Right program live on KPFT 90.1 FM, a regional activist texted me. I got this message from a friend overnight. Conroe City Council.
Okay, I just wanted to show you that the kinds of stuff that AI can do. And I played around putting myself and reading the thing myself with my own voice and my own likeness. And for me, it was kind of creepy. So I said, nah, I don't want to do that. So what I did is I went ahead and had a model, one of the AI models, go ahead and read the thing so that I could put it up on YouTube, etc. Now, Carl Cox, going back to what you're saying, when you say the structure of capitalism will not change, wages won't go up. Again, when you say capitalism will not change, that is just as defeatist as saying Donald Trump is going to remain in office if he chooses to do so. I don't want anybody telling me, oh, we can't change the system. Because if we can't change the system to be better for humanity, what the hell am I doing here? Why the hell did I give up my software company to do this? If I thought that we could make a better system together, why would I have done that? Why wouldn't I have just kept being a capitalist and just sucker everybody for what they're worth? If you ever stop and believe that you can't make a change, it's all over. It's all over. Okay? No. We are here together to learn together and work together to make the change. We, the people of the United States, in order to create a better union. That's what it's about. It's not about saying, oh my God, we can't change capitalism. Oh my God, we can't. Are you crazy? That is what we are all about. We are all about changing to better humanity. Every time get better. That it's taken 40 years for us to realize that Ronald Reagan was a fraud. And everybody who adopted supply side economics were frauds. And we have to keep doing the work, not defeatist. When you say it'll never change, you know who love you for saying that? MAGA. MAGA loves that. It's going to be our way. That's the way. No, absolutely not. Lynette says, I forget who said that. Let me ask AI, LOL. There you go. LBW, MSB Global is building one in Sulphur Springs. Okay, wow. Okay. Lynette, apparently many people over the centuries have said something similar to privatize the profits and socialize the losses. Yeah. And we got to stop that. And by the way, folks, there are countries in the world that have successfully found a balance between free enterprise, meaning corporations doing as they please, along with a great social safety net. Kids taken care of, people don't starve, everybody who wants a job gets a job. There are systems in the world. Many don't know about it in America because we don't want people to know about it. And whenever a third world country with resources attempt to do that, we destroy them. Venezuela, Cuba, and I'm not saying I like those guys who've taken over Venezuela and Cuba. I don't. What I'm saying is the Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela was all about the people. The original, thank you, Finland, Denmark, and Sweden, exactly. I add Norway to that as well. Okay, now you can look at anytime a country attempts to say the resources belong to the people, we get involved because our capitalist companies can't go in there and take the resources. I'm going to ask you guys to do a scan right now, not now, after the program, on France and their former African colonies. These former African colonies used to have to bank through France. All their monies had to be a special African franc. And now that they have gotten their real independence and started to say, why the hell do we need to pass our money through France? France is reeling because what they realize is what they thought they had, they didn't. They thought they were a rich country. They aren't. They don't have resources of substance. Okay, so let's get right. We ought to fight for what we want. Egberto, I have no idea how AI generation and automation will restructure our society within 5 years, but I agree with you that democratized structuring will be required. We are about to live through interesting times. Right. But what we have to do, Michael, and that I'm glad in the tone that you said that, is we have to be educating each other as this stuff happens, right? Like I am playing with AI. I'm seeing where it goes. I'm seeing what kinds of things that this stuff is going to be able to do. And in the process, find out, work with people and bring on people who can start talking about how does this enter the fold? How does this make life better for all of us? We should never, ever talk about limiting progress, but progress should always be progress for humanity. All right. I have another video. This one here is about, I think this is the one with the despair that I talk about. We should not have despair. This is a caller this morning. And I think this is in the same order of despair, but this time with the military. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Come on in, Bobby.
Yeah, when I see Trump putting these forces everywhere, it keeps making me think back to the founding forefathers who were very weary of a standing army because, they were scared that some tyrannical leader like Trump would use it against the people. So they felt it was necessary for each of the states to have their own militia. They thought that, the army for the nation could be mainly made of normal guys who could be called up. But those guys would be in their state militias. We're supposed to have a state militia to balance the power between the states and the federal. But in the early 1900s, the states militias were turned into the National Guard. And yeah, they're supposed to be under state control, but the federal, the president under certain circumstances can call them up. But he's using our own state militias, which are supposed to help keep a tyrannical leader from using those troops against us himself. It seems like all hope is lost as far as ever wanting to fight back against, let's say he does, suspend the Constitution, do all these terrible things. I mean, and suspend elections. Like, what do you do? What are you supposed to do when it comes to a point where you can't vote anymore?
Let me just say this. I want people to think about what you're saying, which is very important, Bobby. But I want them to remember, and I'm going to say this again. Remember Conroe, our little town in Texas named Conroe. Right now, Donald Trump and his cabal wants you to feel despair. That's their goal. They need you to feel despair. One of my goals and the goals of many people doing what we do is to tell you, don't be fooled, because the people with the power are the masses, you and everybody else. They can only do and use the power that you cede to them. The military, normally in countries where these things take over, the military is so far removed from the average person in the way that they're taken care of relative to the rest of the population. So the military and the people with guns have a vested interest in protecting the Führer, because in protecting the Führer, they have the guns and they have the money. Over here, the people with the money don't necessarily have the guns, and the people in the military aren't living above the rest of us all, like it is in Venezuela. And I hesitantly use Venezuela because Venezuela put itself in that position. But in all these other authoritarian countries, what you see is the military folk or a special class that live above the people. But that's not the truth here in America. In America, we don't even pay the military well. In our economic system, the other people get paid well. So it turns out that as long as we don't despair and keep remember that we are in fact empowered, we can prevent that from happening, because that military person is also a father, a cousin of regular people. And he knows that right now, the VA is not all that good. And all the things that is great for militaries all over the rest of the world, that's the part that we have not done. And it may actually be a blessing in disguise. So, yeah. So again, Bobby, I don't like to say keep the faith, be the faith, because we prevail if we choose to prevail. All right, brother?
All right. Well, have a good day.
And that is similar to the same message that I'm giving here, that we never say, oh, that'll never change. Of course, it'll never change if we don't build the force, if we don't build it necessarily. If I don't go and when you see me talk, say, I got to talk to my MAGA brothers and sisters too, right? It's because how are we going to make a change if we just stay insular to what we know, right? You have to go and meet people where they are. And then you can make it, then you can convince them if what you're saying is real, why to change. Now, my brother here comes back and he says, Egberto, I'm not a defeatist, just stating the facts. Again, and this is the problem I have to show that it's not only right-wing folks that we consider immutable. We like to think that right-wing people, you can't talk to them and have them change their minds when presented with other facts and data, etc. Right? But my brother Carl, I'm gonna mess with you a little bit, Carl, because you give me a good example here. Left-wingers can be just as bad as right-wingers, in that they don't want to take new information and change it. When Carl says, oh, things are going to remain the same, that's why AI is bad. And I point out, I give a list of the things. AI is a basic knowledge of all of us. All right? Granted, not only is AI all our knowledge, but AI is something that we should never stop progress. You should never stop progress. Progress is supposed to make life better for humanity. That's why we're called progressives. Okay? Make lives better for humanity. I've also stated that while it is true, all the negatives that people say about AI, that it will reduce workload and everything, it's true. But at the same time, we also have to say we are supposed to fix our economic system to fit the people, not the people to fit the economic system. And in fixing an economic system to fit the people, what we are going to say is, okay, AI comes from all of us. AI isn't owned by the billionaires as it is. It shouldn't be owned by the billionaires as it is right now. We, the people, control who our politicians are. We elect politicians to effect laws that ensure that what happens as AI moves forward, it is done in a manner that takes people first. And since it's a lot faster and more effective many times, not in every time, than us, it means we can reduce the workload of everybody, which means people can have nicer things and people can have more time, precious time with their loved ones. All of those are the positives that can come out of AI if we open our minds and we say, how do we keep progress and at the same time do good by humanity? And the final word out of Brother Cox is AI is not good for the people. Okay? I just gave a full example of how we can AI is not going to become good for the people automatically. We have to make AI good for the people. And how do we do that? Engaging in our politics. We are not defeatists. We're not going to just let things happen. We educate each other. But we have to be where people are willing to go. Let me tell you better. A friend of mine told me that people in general are immutable. I said, what percentage? And then he said, well, I said, is it a majority of people that are immutable? The answer is no. Most people are willing to change their belief system and their behavior based on new inputs. Great. If most people do that, then democracy works. Even for those immutables, like for the MAGA that won't change. I don't need to know that there are MAGAs that don't change. Some of the folks in the chat will say, Egberto, leave them alone. They'll never change. My next question is, will some of them change? If the answer is yes, then I have a lot of work to do. The next question is enough of MAGA plus progressives plus others willing to change your mind so that we can have good action? If the answer is yes and over 50%, then I'll continue doing this kind of work. Now, if the answer is no, we just have people that simply will never change and will always be wrong, then I'm going to go back and use my skills and become a capitalist and just take advantage of anybody I can take advantage of. Right? Options. If humanity is doomed to have a small amount of people that have a particular knowledge to go make a lot of money and and leave others behind, and that's where the others want to be. What are those activists doing activizing? Right? So, no, I believe, and one of the reasons I left everything else is I believe in humanity. I believe in us all. And I don't dare not believe that more than 50%, that more than 50% of us are just a whole bunch of yahoos. I cannot believe that. Egberto, please read this out. Some MAGA people can be reached, but most of them are too far gone. And you should be able to tell the difference. You can't use facts and evidence to reason someone out a position that they believe themselves into. And by the way, we call them MAGA, but as I showed you, and one of our brothers in the house will tell us if he fits the same criteria, right? Because when you say MAGA, Michael, you're talking about folks on the right. But is that the truth for folks on the left? There's some folks on the left too. And I want your answer, Michael, because I like that statement, and I want to see how you apply that statement to the immutables on the left. So let me hear your answer. All right, folks, I got another video I want to show you, and this one is about. I think this is one that I have with our young lady. Let's go ahead and play it. Let me get it set up. Here we go. If our MGT, Marjorie Taylor, can get smart and get effective, let me just tell you, if they can do it, we should be 4 leaps and bounds above that. I want you to listen to something before I get into the other subject. I want you to listen to what Marjorie just said recently. It has folks like Ali Velshi wondering if he's seeing the right thing. Check this out.
Trump's losing the messaging battle on the shutdown, specifically the Obamacare subsidies that he and many Republicans are trying to torch in the process. Just listen to, we don't normally quote her on this show, but just listen to what Marjorie Taylor Greene told CNN about that.
We track all the calls that come into my office. About 60% of the calls coming in right now are calls of support and saying, yes, health insurance is a crisis. They're telling us stories about how they're already paying $2,000 a month with $10,000 deductibles. I'm getting phone calls from people that are saying if the ACA tax credits expire, they aren't going to be able to have health insurance. They're going to have to drop it. But I'm hearing from people on both sides, people already on the ACA and people that are already getting crushed by high health insurance premiums.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're not watching a politically strong Donald Trump. You're seeing a Donald Trump who cannot lie his way out of the crisis that he's created for himself on the economy and healthcare. A Donald Trump who cannot make the scandal over the Jeffrey Epstein files disappear. A Donald Trump who must also contend with the scandal involving $50,000 that FBI agents put into a paper bag and gave to Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan. The story first reported by MSNBC.
And let me just tell you guys, and that's just a partial list of the danger that we're in. Don't forget the tariffs. Don't forget the tariffs that have decimated the American farmer. Don't forget the tariffs that are harming the food production, harming the prices that everyday Americans pay at Walmart or Target or any one of these box stores. No, you can't hide this stuff. But what he's doing is, you notice you didn't get your employment report this month. None of these reports that tell you how good or badly the economy is doing are you receiving. Of course, the private sector is trying to give whatever reports they can, but they don't have all the data in one place as the government is able to get. So you don't know how bad things really are. Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't really changing who she is. Marjorie's audience is telling her who she needs to be. Remember that. Remember how we started the program talking about Conroe, Texas, and how the people's voices matter? Bigger than Conroe is to turn Marjorie Taylor Greene into a supporter of one, as she said last week, making sure the Democrat who got elected in Arizona gets seated so that we can get the Epstein's files released. And two, Marjorie Taylor realizing that Obamacare subsidies must be reinstituted. That wasn't Marjorie Taylor talking. That was her constituents realizing that they were told a whole lot of lies and crap, calling into her office and saying, Marjorie, save us, save us. And if she wants to remain elected, she says, oh, this is the one time I will be going against the Führer. This is the one time I'll be going against the president. Your voice matters. Doesn't matter with whom, people. Even if you're being represented by the most MAGA person, if you start showing that you want what you earned, that you want what you deserve, remember, ultimately, you are in control. Ultimately, you're in control. And that is what is so important. And I close the show in the morning this morning. I want people to I want people to realize that they have a lot more power than they think they do. And and we should use Marjorie Taylor. All of those who doubt it, the amount of power you have. How difficult do you think it was to ask Marjorie Taylor to, to go ahead and go against the president? You know why she did it? Because even if the president comes out and attack her constituents are the ones that are telling her, we want the damn subsidies. So she's ahead of the president. Have you noticed the president who normally attacks anybody who bucks him has not really attacked her? Have you noticed that? Think about it. You have power, and we all should use it. Let's see what Brother Michael has for me to play. Okay, I don't know what it's saying, but I'm going to trust you, Michael. I'm going to trust there's no music, okay? Let's go ahead and play that for Michael. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and start it again. All right.
Well, my name is Mark Atkins.
What's brought you along to this protest today despite the ceasefire?
Well, my name is Mark Atkins. I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor. I've been marching for 2 years now against the genocide in Gaza, and the media and politicians are suggesting the genocide is over, and I hope they're right, but I suspect not. If you destroy an entire society, if you drop the equivalent of several atom bombs on a small area, if you destroy the majority of housing, if you create a situation where there are no real hospitals, where there's no necessarily clean water, sewage and such like, I hate to say it, but I think people are going to be dying in their hundreds, if not thousands, over the next coming months and years, because you cannot live in a situation. Housing and hospitals aren't luxuries. You need, unless there's going to be a massive intervention by United Nations, US, other countries just pouring in aid and international aid workers, I think a lot of people are going to pass away, and the conditions for those who don't are going to be absolutely terrible for years and years. I've heard it's going to take years and years and years, maybe decades to rebuild Gaza. So I think the genocide is continuing, and I think we need to keep opposing that and do all we can to make sure the people of Gaza are helped. And I think it's almost as important that we whatever else we do, is we stop voting for politicians in this country or anywhere in the West who supported this genocide. That surely is the most basic lesson. Anyone, Reform, Tory, Labour, who supported this genocide, who armed it, should never be voted for ever again.
All right. I can't disagree with the young man at all. All right, folks, we're at the end of the program. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I respect all of you. I respect all your ears, all your thoughts, all your comments. Thank you for great commentary on both platforms today. You guys are wonderful. Please, those who have the wherewithal, please consider becoming a paid subscriber today. We are in dire straits for paid subscribers right now. We are way behind the 1,200 that we need to be break even. So it's going to take us a while to get there, but you can start helping us right now get into that break even point. We are at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is where you can go ahead and become a paid subscriber. I'm putting that into the chat, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm putting it in both chats, actually. So please consider becoming a paid subscriber. We don't only do this, we do a whole lot more, both articles on many platforms. In fact, if you were to scan for what we do, you'll see it all over the internet. We do our part in keeping the internet populated with truthful, honest, progressive data so that search engines don't only come up with right-wing stuff. So again, you are the ones that allow me to do what I'm doing. And many a times, a lot of what you guys put in the chat also forms ideas in my head that needs to be placed in the articles that I write, etc. You guys are very, very smart, and I thank you for being here. Again, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to become a paid subscriber. And I'm going to put it in there one more time. Una vez más. And I got to get out of here. Thank you all. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.